Hello, America. Yeah, I know it's been a minute. Listen, this topic right here, I ain't gonna lie, it kind of snowballed pretty fast on me, Because I just started off trying to do my homework because, see, I'm pre-diabetic now, and I was looking for sugar alternatives. You know what I mean? Simple, But then I found out about this stuff called allulose, spelled Allulose. You know. Then I got into the history of it, then looked at the sugar industry, then found out about the cover-ups, and before I knew it, this whole thing turned into a damn case study. And honestly, what I found out is really just kind of disgusting. So here we go. Did you know that in the 1960s, the Sugar Research the Sugar Research Foundation had a problem? Studies were pointing to sugar, not fat, as the real driver of heart disease. So what they did, they paid a few Harvard scientists about 50 grand in today's money to flip the blame. They blamed fat, so then sugar just walked free. That paper went to the New England Journal of Medicine with no disclosure, no warnings, and the lie became national policy. Fat-free took over the grocery stores. Meanwhile, everything fat-free was loaded with sugar just to make it taste good. Heart disease went up, diabetes exploded, obesity skyrocketed, and then the scientists responsible, gone, dead. No accountability, no consequences. Because even Harvard eventually admitted the payments happened, but the sugar industry literally bought the science that shaped American nutrition. So here's the part that they'll never tell you. While the Harvard cover-up was happening, something else was quietly sitting in the background. Allulose. From the 1950s, 1960s, studies show allulose barely raised blood sugar. It has almost no calories and passes through the body cleanly. In the 1970s, 1980s, we gained the ability to make it at scale. So let's be clear. During the exact same decades, the sugar industry was paying Harvard to mislead the public. We already had a safer alternative available. They didn't promote it though, because corn syrup was cheaper, subsidized, more addictive, and made billions. Allulose wasn't the moneymaker, so they buried it. The label trick they'd rather you not notice though. So if you go and look and grab anything in your kitchen, look at the nutrition facts label, right? You'll see a percentage daily value for protein, fat, fiber, sodium, vitamins, minerals. But for total sugars, nothing. No percentage, no daily limit, just grams floating in space. But at least now, whatever, I think it started 2020, they added a percentage for added sugars, right? And that number uses a daily value of 50 grams, which is way higher than what the World Health Organization recommends, right? Because the actual recommended limits by the WHO, 25 grams per day for most women, 38 grams per day for most men. So that's like 6 to 9 teaspoons. So most coffees, juices, yogurts, and healthy snacks blow past that limit before lunch. So yes, they added a percentage for added sugars, but the total sugars, still, no percentage for a daily value. Why? Because if they put a daily limit next to total sugars, half the grocery store would look like a hazard sign. You know what I'm saying? That's not transparency, that's strategy. But let me tell you though, how we got so vulnerable though. So for millions of years, humans ate real food, wild food, and then sugar was just rare. It was like a treat, right? So a handful of berries now and then, maybe some honey, but it was normally under 20 grams a day. And our biology evolved for scarcity, not constant sweetness. Then refined sugar came along just a few centuries ago, and our wiring never adapted. Corporations learned that, and they exploited it. We weren't ready. Our bodies weren't ready, and that vulnerability became their business model. So let me tell you though, sugar itself wasn't the issue. because we've used it for thousands of years, right? But the real turning point was when we figured out that sugar was harming us. And instead of doing better, corporations said, yeah, but it still makes money. And that's when everything went wrong, because that's when honesty should have replaced marketing. That's when the safer alternatives like allulose should have taken the lead. But they didn't want better because they wanted to be more profitable. That wasn't ignorance, They made a choice right there. You know what I mean? But then when the fat myth finally started cracking, they didn't ever apologize about that. They just pivoted. They said diet this, diet that, sugar free, keto friendly. So it was a whole new costume for the same scam. Corn subsidies kept high fructose corn syrup dirt cheap. Food companies pumped it into everything. Soda, bread, ketchup, cereal. So by the 1990s, we could have gone all in on allulose. But high fructose corn syrup was a billion-dollar beast. And no corporation was giving that up. So meanwhile, though, pharma made billions treating the diseases sugar caused. So we got two industries with the same wallet, just one big cycle. But here, let me tell you though. Here's where people get confused though. So let me be clear about this. When I say these systems were built on racism, I don't mean sugar is racist. I mean the infrastructure around food access was designed during racist eras and never rebuilt. So back in the 1930s, redlining maps labeled black neighborhoods as high risk. Banks followed, grocery chains followed, hospitals followed. So supermarkets moved to white suburbs, minority communities got corner stores and fast food. And that's how food deserts were created. Not by accident, but by policy. So at the same time, the USDA denied black farmers loans for decades, while subsidizing big farms, including the same farms producing cheap corn syrup. So the communities with the fewest resources got buried under the cheapest, unhealthiest food. Then corporations targeted those communities with soda and junk food the same way the tobacco industry did. And now that America has supposedly moved past racism, but the system still never got rebuilt. So today, it hurts everyone. Black families, poor white families, anyone without privilege or proximity to wealth. So these broken foundations collapse on all of us eventually. So now we're still in this sugar-free era, but then the star of the show right now is erythritol in almost every keto snack out there, But here's the messed up part about this. Studies are showing high erythritol levels may increase clotting and raise heart risk. So I'm not telling you to panic. I'm telling you to stop thinking labels equal truth. Meanwhile, the sweetener that is showing promise, allulose, sits quietly off to the side. So if health were the goal, we'd lead with allulose. But the goal isn't health, it's profit. So let me tell you though, allulose might give you a little gas if you overdo it, But if the choice is a little gas, maybe a little quick trip to the bathroom, or a lifetime of addiction, diabetes, and heart disease, give me some gas. You know what I mean? But here, let me tell you though, here's another thing. The whole addiction blueprint. Because sugar hits your brain like nicotine. Because it's using the same reward pathways, the same cravings, and it's the same reinforcement loop. So the sugar industries, they knew about that and they weaponized it, especially in communities with the least political power. And that's not coincidence. You know what I'm saying? That was strategic. But also remember this here too. Only about 10 companies controlled nearly everything in the grocery stores. It's all different labels, different branding, but the same owners. So you're not choosing between options. You're choosing between different branches of the same empire. Because this isn't a food problem, it's a structure problem. We built an economy where one industry makes you sick and another profits from treating the sickness. We tell people to be responsible, but responsibility without truth is just blame. So how do you make good choices when the science, the labels, and the incentives are all tilted against you? And remember, the Constitution, it actually says the government exists to promote the general welfare. So a system that promotes disease in promoting the general welfare is betraying it. But if the Sterling Truth pillars existed back then, because you already know what this whole channel is about, the lies, the fake science, the buried alternatives, the racist policies, the addiction economics, and the corporate chokehold, none of it would have ever survived under the 8 pillars of the Sterling Truth. Because term limits, UBI, corporate responsibility, ethics over influence, and a Congress of states to restore the balance. If those reforms existed, this entire sugar to sickness pipeline never gets built. So let me tell you though, is this in closing, this isn't about worshiping a sweetener. It's about a system that designs illness and calls it business. You don't fix that by shopping smarter. You fix it by changing the incentives. Make honesty profitable. Make deceit expensive. Because as long as lying pays, they'll keep lying. They've turned our food, our medicine, and our trust into profit streams. And the only way we stop it is to flip the script. Make truth the business model. Check the comments. I'm dropping all of my sources, the Harvard payoff, the sugar industry papers, the erythritol studies, and the allulose research. Look for yourself. Don't take my word for it if you don't want to. But right below all of that, I'm going to drop the link to the 8 pillars of the Sterling Truth. Don't just watch this here. Read. Share it. Because if they profit, all you lose. You like how I did that, huh? But when the truth pays better than the lie, we all win.